It's time for Tubi Tuesday. Yes, we're back with Tubi Tuesday. Today, we are taking a look at The Final Girls from 2014, starring Thaisa Farmiga, Nina Dobrev, Alia Shawkat, Thomas Middleditch, Adam Devine, Chloe Bridges, and Alexander Ludwig. And is a film, and Malin Ackerman. And is a film about a teenage girl, quote unquote. Maybe she's not a teenage girl, I don't know. 3 years after her mom dies in a car accident, she goes to see a film which her mother starred in back in the 80s. And through a series of events, her and her friends end up in the film and now have to survive the film. Alright, so I heard about this a few years ago when it came out. I did watch it once when it aired on, it was the ABC Family at the time. I don't think it was Freeform yet. Maybe it was Freeform. 2014, 2015? I don't know. It was a very interesting film to watch. And I was surprised to find out that the TV version wasn't censored. This is actually PG-13, and yeah, I knew that before watching it now, but I watched the TV version, and I rented it from Family Video at the time, thinking, oh, I'll watch the uncensored version. No, it's PG-13. There's nothing really taken out of it, maybe a few swear words, you know? But, yeah. Hadn't yawned at all, and now here I am. You say. So, yeah, Thaisa Farmiga stars Max. We get this first scene, she's waiting for her mom. Her mom was the star of an 80s film called Camp Bloodbath, and now she can't really get a job. It always goes back to that one film, and yeah, and we get a sense that her and her daughter, her and Max, are very close. But then there was a car accident because they're singing Betty Davis eyes, and she's not paying attention to the road, and yeah, she gets a car accident, she dies. And 3 years later, they're doing an anniversary showing of Camp Bloodbath and its sequel, Camp Bloodbath 2. I don't remember what the subtitle was, but yeah. And so watching it this time, I find it, how they get into the movie, it's not explained how it works. So what happens is there's a fire through a Rube Goldberg Final Destination type thing where a bottle of alcohol falls down, smashes against one of the curtains. Someone is smoking pot or something, and an ash falls down, hits the alcohol, and starts a fire. Everyone's trying to leave, but our people that are there, which I should have mentioned, are Max, her best friends, her best friend's brother, the guy she has a crush on, her ex-best friend who's now her enemy, who showed up because she's the ex-girlfriend of the guy that Max has a crush on. They all decide to cut through the screen, which they're going to have to pay a lot of money to fix that, and go through there. But somehow, they end up in the movie by doing that. And it's never explained once how that happened. They just cut a hole, go through, and they're in the movie. I do like, though, that, well, and I find it weird that, so they are sitting in the woods somewhere when they meet the main characters in the film, and then they leave, and sometime later they come back saying the same things. It's restarting over again. And so Thomas Middleditch's character, Duncan, he uses his watch to test what time it is. He sets it for 92 minutes, and exactly 92 minutes later, They come back, so the movie restarts. So he decides, oh, we're going to go with them. Now, the one thing that's always kind of irked me about this movie is the fact that they're able to change things in the movie. I don't think they should be able to do that, because they're like, oh, she's the final girl. Especially the final girl thing, alright? I understand you gotta have Max be the final girl at the end to get this, whole thing, lesson, because she just wants to save her mother, because the character her mother played is in this movie. But, to me, if you designate that this character, Chloe Bridges' character, is the final girl, then that to me means that no matter what, she cannot die. Alright? And yet, she explodes and she's dead because Max needs to be the final girl. I get that. But also it goes against the rules. If you are doing a movie that's meta and has to follow the rules, surely any one of our new characters that's coming from out there, they're fair game. But to me, this character, the Chloe Bridges character, she should have been untouchable. Because she is the final girl and they have to follow the rules of this movie. It should have been them interacting with the movie, going shot for shot. They did this in Teen Beach movie and it changed things, but that was the point. They changed it, things got changed around. But here, it irks me because, well, that wasn't a slasher, first of all, and they did sort of change things, but there was consequences. In Teen Beach movie, there are consequences when things start to change, So, here, when things just change, and there's no consequences that start to change, other than she dies, but she shouldn't be able to die because she's supposed to be the final girl. I'm just saying. And the Adam Devine's character dies differently, but he's supposed to die anyway. And I also am confused. Some other things, but we'll get to it. And, so Duncan dies first. And then he's not dead, and he gets run over. And then Adam Devine's character dies. And then Chloe Bridges' character dies. And then you have to tell them that it's a movie now, and I do like though when they do the flashback stuff, how it looks like it's like raining on them and turning into flashbacks. It's really cool. I like how they step over the 3D lettering because they can see it. Apparently, it's pretty cool. This whole meta thing. There's some nods, especially Billy, who's the killer here, slasher killer. He is basically Jason Voorhees. The poster for Camp Blood 2 that they show is basically The Burning, and they say his face got messed up in a fire. That's basically a Freddy Krueger thing. They have the Friday the 13th music type thing. And, so it's when we get to the later part of the movie. Most of the people have died, and it's down to Max, Nancy, that's Mel Ackman's character, and the boyfriend guy. They're left and they're running. The things start to just feel like they just threw stuff at the script. A little bit. Because all of a sudden, they decide, hey, narrate a flashback. And it works. But that's not the part of the movie where the flashback happens. Earlier, when it happened, is when it was supposed to happen. Not here. And yes, things have changed. But you're getting into the climax of the movie. There's no flashbacks in the climax of the movie unless it's a big revelation, which it wasn't. And the whole thing with this story is that, because boyfriend dies, and then you're down with Nancy and with, and they say, Max, you got to be the final girl because you're the only virgin. And then it's like, I'm a virgin. No, you're the one that's supposed to die, and stuff like that. And Max wants to save her mom, but it's not really her mom. Wants to save Nancy, I guess. And Okay, so earlier, to lure Billy into a trap, they had Tina, who's the slut character, do a striptease dance, but you don't see anything because it's PG-13. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stop right here. I understand that this may be a lighter subject type thing, but you are doing a meta movie about a slasher film. And you make it PG-13, going against everything that a slasher stands for. There's no tits. There's no gore. No swearing. Those are three things that a slasher film needs to have, and you take them out. Now, this is not a bad movie. I feel like this movie does get hurt a little bit by the PG-13 rating because I'm assuming that Camp Bloodbath, with that name, was rated R. Which means that in the context of that film, there was nudity, there was swearing, and there was gory kills. But because our characters are from a PG-13 film, because this fictional movie exists in is PG-13, none of that happens in this film. And I'm not, I understand, I don't understand, but it's a PG-13 film about going into a slasher movie that should be rated R. What I'm trying to say is it doesn't make sense that your movie is PG-13, you're going into a movie that within this film itself would probably be rated R. And you have nothing from there. Like I said, no tits, no gore, no swearing, nothing. And it just doesn't make any sense. You want to make a PG-13 film, that's fine. But it just doesn't make any sense. Alright, so, yeah. She does this striptease. Killer comes. And then later, we're down to Max and we're down to Nancy. Max is mortally wounded and she's dying. But she's supposed to be the final girl, right? Well, she can't be because Nancy is still there. And she's like, well, he has to go, no, you be the final girl. I can't. Why not? I know they said earlier you can't, but if Max dies, that would make you the final girl. Wouldn't it? I know she's supposed to die within the film, but Chloe Bridges' character was supposed to survive, and she's dead. So clearly that's off the table. If Max dies, then Nancy would be the final girl. She would get the final girl powers or whatever that comes. But no. She's like, no, you're the final girl. I have to die. So she starts doing a striptease, which wasn't her character. Her character was the sweet virgin who has sex with Adam Devine's character and then dies. I feel like they lost their way with this, and like, oh, she has to die, so Max has to be the final girl, so she has to die. But wait, we killed off Adam Devine, so how is she gonna die? Because she's supposed to have sex with Adam Devine. They should have been leading up to that, because the first part of this movie, when they get there, is Max trying to stop her from having sex with Adam Devine. And then that goes away, and now she's just trying to make sure she doesn't die. So, Kurt, his name is Kurt. With Kurt, and now it's gone, and she's just making sure her mom doesn't die. It's a very convoluted way to get Max to be the final girl. Because they set a precedence, Max has to be the final girl, so they killed off the original final girl, Chloe Bridges' character, but her and her mom have to be the last two. So how do we get rid of the mom then? Because her death is gone, you would make sense if she just walked out and Billy was there and killed her. But no, she does a striptease, which is not what her character was. But shows up. It's a striptease to Betty Davis' eyes, so maybe it's a call back to earlier in the film, beginning of the film. And then Max gets her superpowers and she takes care of Billy. The movie ends, and she wakes up in a hospital with almost everyone there. Almost all of her friends. For some reason, boyfriend isn't there. There is a blonde guy laying in the bed, and I'm not sure if that was him, but everyone else was there. Thomas Middleditch, Ali Shawkat, Nina. They're there. Except for boyfriend. I don't know why. Maybe he was the guy that was unconscious, but apparently they're now in the sequel, which takes place in a hospital. Halloween 2, anyone? Yeah. They think they made it out. But then again, this would make sense. Her friends survive. Right? Her friends are there. But they died. They died. But she didn't die. And she's there, but they're there. And maybe boyfriend. I don't know. I know maybe it's saying, oh, they're not from the movie, so they can't actually die. But I don't know. When we get it set up for a sequel that has never happened. 6 years later, we still haven't got a sequel. And I want a sequel. 7 years later. So it was 2014. 7 years later. Still no sequel. I want one. Because if you leave on a cliffhanger, you have to follow up the sequel, even if it's a bad one. Okay? Because at least you say you have a cliffhanger. You follow up the cliffhanger. I'm just saying. But this movie is actually pretty good. I had a few more problems with it watching it this time. With the critical eyes. With my critical eyes. I turn the movie on. Okay. So, I'm going to give The Final Girls a pretty good. So what are your thoughts on The Final Girls? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. Booyah.